There was a time when the lights were always on, not because anyone was waiting, but because it felt wrong to let the dark in. From the outside, everything looked warm, safe, normal, and for a while, that was enough. Because if the house was lit, it meant someone might still be home. He sat with them, listened to the small sounds, cups, cutlery, the clock. He smiled when it was expected, and for a moment, that felt like enough. Because if he stayed quiet, he didn't have to explain why he felt alone in the room. It didn't happen all at once. Nothing disappeared. Nothing broke. He was still sitting there, but the room felt quieter than it should have. Like something had just stepped out and forgotten to say goodbye. He stared at the space across from him, the chair, the place where the voices used to be. Nothing had moved. Nothing had changed, except he could finally see it for what it was. That was when he noticed it. Not a sound, not a shape, just the sense that the room was no longer empty, that something had taken the space left behind. For a second, his mind tried to catch up. The empty chairs, the quiet, and then this. Standing where no one should have been. He didn't understand what he was looking at, only that it was looking back. He couldn't look at it anymore. The room felt too small, too heavy. And then he saw the light, warm, simple. Somewhere he didn't have to explain himself. It was easier to look at the light. It didn't ask questions. It didn't wait for answers. It just stayed open. And right then, that felt like enough. The room felt familiar, warm, the way it always had at this time of day. His wife reading, his daughter on the floor. Everything where it should be. Just for a moment, it felt like nothing had ever been wrong. He stood there for a moment longer, letting it sink in. The light, the familiar sounds, the shape of the room. It felt good to look at it like this, something worth holding on to. He felt it. He looked at it now and felt something harder than fear. He hated it then, because wherever it stood, his family didn't. That was when it finally reached him. Not as fear, not as shock, but as the weight of everything he had been pretending not to lose. He felt the truth pressing in and turned away. He stepped towards it because it was easier than staying. Here they were still running, still laughing, the kind of laughter that fills a home without trying, the kind you don't realize you're memorizing until it's gone. In this moment, they were still his, and he held on to it because it was all he had left. He felt it slipping away. That hurt more than the truth. The garden was still there. They weren't. He wanted to blame it, needed to, because blaming himself hurt too much. He knew what waited behind it, and he walked toward it anyway. He returned to what felt familiar, and felt it slipping away before it had even reached him. This was the lie he wanted to believe, not because it was convincing, but because it felt like being loved again. The light had faded. What remained was the truth he had been avoiding. The room was just a room again. No voices, no warmth, only what was left behind. He saw it again, and for the first time, he knew why. It wasn't there to punish him. It was there because he was alone. They were gone, not lost, not waiting somewhere else. Gone. And the love he still carried had nowhere to land. That was the truth he could no longer escape. When the people you love disappear, the love does not die with them. It stays, and it hurts. He did not lose them all at once. They left in pieces, moments, voices, the warmth of being needed. And when nothing remained but silence, isolation stayed behind. Not as punishment, not as a monster, but as what remains when love has nowhere left to go. If you recognize this quiet, you are not alone in it.